These are the best beginner tips and tricks for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. First things first, speeding up time. I slept a lot and I waited a lot to see what is going on with respawning resources, restocking shops, and monsters in general. And if you watch trailers, you could see, yeah, blood moons happen again, and after resting a few times, I was able to get a blood moon. Now, I had been playing for a few hours, so I was probably due for one, but it looks like the mechanic is very similar, if not the same, to Breath of the Wild. Now, even though it's been a lot of years since the game has come out, people aren't like 100% sure on how to get consistent blood moons. It just kind of seems like if you pass a lot of time, eventually you'll get one. Also, if you kill a lot of monsters, then it increases your chance of respawning to repopulate the world. So that's what you want to do for a blood moon. Now, when you get a blood moon, what else happens? Does it respawn some of the ores? It does not. So it also looks like ore respawning is going to be the same as Breath of the Wild. Much like information around the Blood Moon, there really isn't a method to cheesing ore spawns in Breath of the Wild, and it seems to be the same in Tears of the Kingdom. I was able to find this post from a couple of years ago, where it seems like ores have a 1% chance to respawn every minute as long as you're not in the same map area or you're just kind of really far away from them. And that seems to track, because I did come back and a couple of the ores spawned, but not all of them, and this was after a few hours of gameplay and playing in Hyrule, so main part of the overworld. I come back to the Great Sky Island, and then a few of the Zonite ore had respawned. So a Blood Moon will not respawn ores, but it will respawn stone taluses, so if you find those, don't forget to mark them on the map. That way when a Blood Moon happens, you can go back and farm the resources. Other things that happen in a Blood Moon, simple forgeable resources will respawn, as well as weapons. So use your map, that if you find a cool place where there's weapons, or a nice little stronghold where there's a lot of enemies to defeat, and they also have like really good drops, then you want to mark that on the map. After Blood Moon, go back, farm it back up, and that's also going to technically speed up the next time you're going to get a Blood Moon, because you have KO'd a lot of enemies. Now, as for restocking shops, once again, it's the same mechanic as Breath of the Wild, that you can't just sleep in the same area as a shop to get it to restock, but if you go to a different part of the map, just pass time until morning and then come back, the shop will be restocked. And with forgeable materials, not only do they respawn during a blood moon, but after a certain amount of time has passed, just go out and venture, you can come back to certain areas, and then the resources will occasionally respawn. Speaking of resources, tip number 2, let Link cook. Pick up all of the resources that you see. You are not better than that apple. That apple is actually better than you because you cook it and then you get a lot more healing out of it. And if you're rusty on Breath of the Wild, like you haven't played it in a while, or this is your first open world Zelda game, you're going to take a lot of damage. You don't want to die, and the best way of mitigating that is with food, and you want to spam food. So that's what I do. I go around, grab all the mushrooms I can, grab all the apples I can, see a wild animal, boom, KO it with a bow. That's going to give you some meat. Then you can just kind of mix and match and get some recipes. There's also a recipe book now, so if you make something cool, you can kind of look back to see how you made it. And if you don't want to make some garbage food, just use common sense. You know, mushrooms and apples, those work. Meat and mushrooms, that's a good combo. Just cooking apples or mushrooms together is going to multiply the strength. And don't overdo it. You don't need to put 5 of an item in the pot every single time, especially if you're very early on in the game and you'll have a couple of hearts, because then you're just overhealing and wasting food. But as you complete more shrines, as you gain more hearts, then yeah, it's kind of worth, like, again, combining different ingredients, because that's going to make the food stronger, and then the more you add, the more hearts it's going to heal. This is not a cooking guide. It's also not really in-depth on cooking. It's just reminding you, like, hey, if there's a pot there and it's already lit, just dump as much food as you can, or like as much time as you want to spend there, and then just restock on all of your meals, because you are going to need that healing. Don't worry, a cooking guide is coming out, so if you enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like, share it with your friends, comment your thoughts, tips, and tricks down below, then hit that notification bell after you subscribe. That way you are on top of the best Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom content. Next tip, save the game frequently. There is nothing worse than diving into encounter, getting skill issued, or maybe you just messed up, you know, accidents happen, dying, and then realizing, oh, The last autosave was a long time ago. You need to bake it in your head that if you're about to go up against something, save the game, especially if you're doing something experimental. This game loves screwing you over just like Breath of the Wild, and it will kill you in very creative ways. So if you think like, oh, I'm going to try to get an edge on the game, or I'm going to try to test something out, make sure you save. There's a lot of cool and fun stuff in this game, but it can also turn on you very quickly. Now that we're starting to get into just like fighting things, do the combat tutorial. The shrine is on the way to Hyrule Castle after you complete the Great Sky Island, and then you're just kind of progressing through the main quest. Do the shrine, that's along the way. Also, by doing that shrine, you're going to get a fast travel point, which means you can kind of cover a bit more distance to continue on the main quest. It's going to help, it's going to save some time. It's also going to reacquaint you with the combat system. Again, this is your first open world Zelda game, or you haven't played Breath of the Wild, and then it's like, oh yeah, this is how you shield and then parry, and then you can also do the dodges into flurry attacks. After playing a lot of Elden Ring, my control muscle memory is really screwed up, but also there isn't the same kind of dodge button. You need to have the opponent locked on, and then you need to jump out of the way to initiate a dodge to get into the flurry attack, and also the direction that you dodge, as well as the timing, is very important to unlocking it. You just can't spam it, or else something's going to smack you over the head, and then you might get KO'd, then you realize that you didn't save. Don't. Make sure that doesn't happen to you. It will happen to you, but just try to mitigate it. Now, my last tip is going to be the biggest one and have a lot of mini tips inside of it, so don't laugh at me when you hear it. Don't immediately click off the video, but remember to have fun. This is an open world game. There's really no wrong way to play an open world game, so do whatever you want and don't feel bad about it. Do you want to get lost in the world and just walk around for a while? Do it. Do you want to kill everything in sight and hoard resources? Do it. Do you just want to get onto the story or find sub-stories or try to figure out like how far you can push into the end of the game immediately without doing anything else? You can create your own challenges. You can go to whatever difficult areas you want to. That's kind of the cool thing about it. And that's also like where the mini tips start coming in. Find out what you can and can't do. You can fuse anything together. You can take a stick and a piece of meat and put it together. You wouldn't know that if you didn't try it. So try to just put any little stupid thing together. I'm currently attaching bomb barrels to everything, and I'm trying to find the best way to not die while using it. So putting it at the end of like a spear, still in blast range, and you can still get killed by that. So just chuck it at an enemy and do an insane amount of damage. However, you can also attach a bomb barrel to a shield, and if they hit you, you don't get KO'd while blocking, and then they do an insane amount of damage to themselves. So this could be like a really good way of cheesing strong enemies and then getting gear upgrades and stuff like that. That's why you can just kind of experiment and do whatever stupid thing you want to do. Just have fun with it, and remember, it's not stupid if it works. This game is just Breath of the Wild, but better, with more opportunities and more creativity and freedom inside of the open world. Didn't feel possible, but there's way more materials and resources and interactions and stuff to do, so you can get crazy with it. Take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. So if you guys enjoyed the video, if you did, like I said, please leave a like, share, comment. All of that stuff helps immensely in the YouTube algorithm. Also, because the game just came out, again, comment your tips and tricks and all the fun stuff that you found, and then that can make it into future guides and help out other people, or they might just discover it in the comment section. Then when there's like a lot of engagement and active things going on, and everyone's just having fun playing this incredible game. So if you guys enjoyed the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.